Hi everyone, thanks for watching. I'm Lauren from Guthrie and Gary, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you the recording of the live question and answer session that I did over on the Instagram platform on Monday the 21st of August. So I'm going to be answering all of your sewing and dressmaking questions and queries, looking for advice and tips and pattern and fabric combinations and recommendations as well. So it's a nice little way to just get lost in a world of fabric and sewing and hopefully learn some new things as well. So you'll see me read out any questions and comments and things as they're coming in live as well, just so you've got a bit of context about what we're talking about. But if you are watching here on YouTube and you do want to ask a question or sort of mention anything that you want me to talk about in a future session, then just leave a comment below. You can also contact the shop as well. The G&G team and I are always more than happy to help. So I'll switch over to the live recording now. I hope you enjoy it and I'll see you very soon. Hi everyone, good evening. I'm here again, back after a little break last week for another live Q&A. I've got all your questions ready here to answer. So it's lovely to see you all joining live. I've got some new fabrics to show you tonight, which is quite exciting. They aren't on the website yet. They should, all being well, they should be on tomorrow, but I thought I'd just give you a little preview of them. So a lot of our autumn and winter stock has started to arrive now in the shop, which is really exciting. It's that time of year when everything sort of changes a lot. And because we've got kind of limited space really in the shop, we tend to, we can't really sort of carry both seasons all at once. So yeah, as the new stuff comes in, then we have to sort of try and dispense with some of the more summery things as they kind of become less popular as we go into the autumn. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. It's lovely to see you. I've missed you after a week's break last week. I wasn't here, and it always makes me just sort of forget what day it is, and then you're just not in your routine. So I'm back and it's Monday, and yeah, I've got all of your questions here to answer tonight. So hopefully lots of tips on your sewing and dressmaking coming up, and then lots of lovely fabrics to have a look at as well, and lots of fabric and pattern pairings too. So if you do have any questions while I'm chatting along, then please feel free to ask and I shall try and answer them. Sometimes I don't always know the answer to things off the top of my head, but I'll try. And if I don't know, I can always add it to my list for next week if I need to just have a look into it a little bit more. And yeah, I'll if you can't watch it all, or you're sort of end up joining a bit late or whatever, then I'll save it to Instagram. You can watch it on YouTube as well. So yeah. Now, in terms of the new stuff that I've got to show you, it's all quite big and bulky because it's getting, it's like the autumn and winter stock, so it's all like kind of warmer things. So I'm going to try and kind of lift it up and sort of show you what the things are, but they're quite big chunky bolts of fabric, so hopefully I can manage that. The first one I've got to show you is what is called a bubble cord. So if I lift it up, so you can see that it's like it's got the kind of cord. It's like quite a chunky cord, but it gets called bubble cord because it's almost, I guess, like a little bit bubbly, like it's got like a little bit of a texture to it. And then in the back of this one is a really soft furry fabric. So it's basically like two fabrics in one. It's double-sided fabric. So it's like two separate fabrics that get bonded together, like heat bonded together basically. So it's, it's kind of like it comes ready lined basically. Now we had a fabric similar to this last year that had that sort of fluffy backing, and a lot of people were making the ilford with it. That was a really popular one, the Friday Pattern Company ilford jacket. So that's an idea to use for it there. So we do have this sort of sagey colour here. Let me just read the name to you. Remember, they're not online yet, but all being well, they should be tomorrow. So it's the Sage fur-lined bubble cord fabric, $16.90 a metre. And then we do also have it in a cream colourway and a rust, which is another part of the shop. So I don't have that one to show you here. But cream and rust is the colour, and then we've also got this lovely pink colour, and then in the back is the furry back is all the same on all the colours. It's just the colour that's on the outside that's different. I think somebody's asking about my top. Yeah, it's the Fibre Mood Quilla top, this one. It's got like a little sort of elasticated band underneath, and I thought I'd wear it tonight because this fabric finally, more of it arrived today. We've been waiting for it all summer. It was really popular. So if you are waiting for it, we'll be letting you know when it is available again online once we get it on the system. So just if you're interested, you want to know when it is back in online again, it'll be some point this week. Then if you go to, it's called the Rose Yarn Dyed Checked fabric, and you can add your email address to get a stock notification email. So yeah, you can do that if you want us to let you know when it's back online again, but it'll be very soon. Do you reckon you could make a moss from the bubble cord? I think you could, yeah, based on what the Ilford's like, because it's got the placket on the Ilford. I'm pretty sure, yeah, the placket in the Ilford, you just fold it back on itself, so you end up with like a sort of extra layer there anyway. And then, you know, I'm just thinking in terms of like the number of layers of fabric. I think you could, yeah, I would say yes to that. I've been donated a lot of Silco threads for the refugee project. Could I use them in our modern sewing machines? I think it might vary. You're probably just going to have to try it out and see. I think some machines can sort of take them better than others. I think you just have to give it a little try and sort of see. Okay, so the other new things that I've got, another like really big chunky kind of cozy thing, which we've got in lots of colours as well. Again, I feel like it's kind of the size of a toddler, these bowls, but they're quite light because they're just sort of fluffy and airy. Is this one here, which is like a teddy fabric. So this is the Damson Teddy Fleece fabric, and it's quite stretchy. I'll just hold some up so I sort of show you it. So I think it's got maybe about 30% stretch. So I would say could be pretty versatile for lots of different things. It comes in lots of colours as well. It feels very sort of soft and kind of furry, a bit like a teddy, hence the name. So yeah, we've got it in that damson colour. There's also a rust as well. The cream has just decided to take off on its own. That's the cream there. And then we've also got it in, what have we called this one? This is like a greeny colour, pine green here. And then also this sort of mauvey colour here. What have we called that one? Violet. So I think you could make a toaster with it. You could make, Joe was planning on making a Tilly and the Buttons Billy sweater with it for the autumn window display. So you could make a Marlo cardigan with it as well. I think that would be quite cosy and fluffy too. So yeah, lots of nice cosy things that you could make with that one. Then there's also this one here, which is quite sort of kind of cosy and knitted as well. This one is the Rainbow Multi Yarn Dyed Knitted fabric. So it's got these little kind of flecks in it here. Again, it's quite stretchy. I think that would make a nice cardigan like the Marlo as well. And then we've got some brushed cottons. So this is a cotton mix actually. So it's autumn check brushed flannel fabric. They're a poly cotton mix. And one side of them is brushed, so it feels like really kind of nice and smooth and cozy. Comes in three sort of designs. So this one here is a bit of a larger check, and then we've got these two ones as well. That's more sort of like warmer kind of autumnal colours, and then a kind of blue one that would also be really nice as a lining. And they're reminding me sort of the fabric that we used in the kit when we did the Green Line Thayer jacket. Yeah, I think that would feel really nice as a lining for like a little lightweight jacket like that. So yeah, they should all be online tomorrow, so you can check them out there. There are some other new things as well, but there's like quite a lot to show you all at once. But the end of the month is next week, so I'll be doing like my monthly new fabric roundup on YouTube then anyway. Okay, the other things that were on my list to let you know about is that We've got our summer sale happening at the moment as well, so that went live on Sunday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning. So again, it's just because we're trying to clear space for all of these new fabrics that are coming in. So there's lots of kind of summery things that you can get, the new things that have been added to the sale section that are 20% off, and then older sale things are up to 40% off. So yeah, you can check that out. And our bolt ends also have 20% off as well at the moment. They usually only have 10, and they're just sort of like fixed cut lengths, all different sizes. Some of them are quite long as well, so it's another good way to get a bargain. Do you think the bubble cord would be good for a thayer? I think there's too many like seams and kind of bits in the thayer. I think it's too thick. It's just the way the pocket's constructed in the thayer. I think the bubble cord with the fur back would just maybe be like a bit too thick for that. But like we do actually have a new kind of chunky cord that's 100% cotton, that's not fur backed, that I think you could use for the thayer. And then if you wanted something to be kind of furry on the thayer, it's probably better to then, like, you could do what we did in the kit with the collar, the fur collar, and just get like the fleecy fabric for the collar. Okay, so I'll get on to the questions that have been sent in beforehand. There's quite a few tonight, so hopefully I'll get through them all, and I'll try and keep up with any questions that are coming in as I'm chatting as well. So the first one was, I made a pair of Merchant & Mills Eves. Now they're too big for me, not massively, but a bit larger than I'd prefer around my waist and also across the front. Could probably pinch a couple of centimetres by each dart. I'm wondering if there's anything I could do to improve the fit. I'm really quite proud of them. I took my time and they were the first pair of fitted trousers with a zip that I made. So if they're not massively larger, then, and you just want to take them in a little bit, you probably can tweak them a bit. Because it's got the side zipper, it's obviously going to be hard to take it in at the side seams without like actually taking out the zip. So trying to think of ways that you could do it without having to take the zip out, because the zip is in one of the side seams. So you could definitely, you'd have to detach the waistband, at least at the back part of it anyway, so that you could get access to where the darts are. And then, you know, you could like pinch the darts out and sort of make them a bit bigger, so that would take it in at the waist a little bit. You could do the same at the centre back seam as well. That would help to take some in too. And then to save you having to take the whole waistband off, if you just kind of unpicked it around that area, you could then just make a seam in the centre back waistband, and then you would just have a seam there. But I think that would be okay. And then it means you could just sort of leave it at the front. If you felt like you wanted to take it in at the front as well, it's just going to depend on how much you sort of feel like you want to take it in by. Then you could, because it's got those little sort of pleats or like little tucks at the front, so you could kind of make them a little bit bigger. You could take the centre front seam in a little bit, you know, if you just sort of spread it around just a little bit, then you know, I think you could do that. It's obviously then just going to make your waistband too big, so then it's whether you either, as I said, like add in that seam to the centre back waistband to like reduce the width of it a little bit, or if you have some fabric left over and you just take the whole waistband off and then put another one on, that's another option there too. Melanie's saying, I had the same issues with the Eve. I lengthened the darts and raised the lower part of the crotch seam. Okay, good to know. So I definitely think they're salvageable anyway. That's the headline. Okay, the next one was, you have any iron recommendations as I'm in the market for a new one? So I have always used Philip irons. I'm not, they don't like sponsor me or anything. I don't know, I just like had one before I had the shop, and then when I was setting up the studio where we have our workshops, I just got Philip's irons because like I'd had one and I thought it was okay. And they have been pretty good, like the steam function was pretty good. But then I had bought a new Phillips iron, probably maybe like, not ages ago, I want to say like a year approximately, which I thought was going to be quite good. And I just felt like the steam on it wasn't really that good, and it was kind of annoying me. So I actually ended up then fairly recently, I would say maybe in the like last 2 to 3 months, I actually bought a T-fal iron for the first time. Because somebody who was on one of the workshops once said that she used T-fal irons and she found them really good, so I was like, okay, I'll give them a try, and it's actually been amazing. I tried to look at what model it was on the actual iron and I couldn't really see a number or anything, but it says Ultimate Pure on the side, and it probably, I'm trying to remember how much it cost, but I think it was about £100. I do try to like spend what I can on an iron because it does make such a difference when you've got a good steam function. So yeah, that's my advice on an iron. Okay, somebody is say on the would people who have made the eaves recommend sizing down? Okay, so generally if you've made the eaves out there, what's been your consensus on the sizing you've chosen? Okay, somebody else is saying, I've picked up some sparkly threads from a charity shop. Any ideas how I could incorporate them into a project? I'm mainly doing toddler clothes at the moment, but also the occasional rare thing for myself. So are they like on a reel, or are they like sort of skeins of thread, like embroidery threads? I guess that would make a difference as to how you would use them. My Phillips iron that I bought a couple of years ago, not good steam also. Okay, good to know. On the eaves, I've made them. I can bring them to the November sewing day if you can wait that long. I found them on the big side. How do you find the teddy fabrics? How do you find the teddy fabrics you showed on your website? In terms of like working with them, I haven't actually made anything with them yet. So, but yeah, I think if you've sewn with stretch fabric before, I don't think they're going to be like any significantly more challenging than that. Might be a bit fluffy when you come to cut them out. Okay, the next question was regarding knit fabrics. You recommend washing them and then drying them flat. I'm always worried that if I don't tumble dry it at least once prior to sewing that, whatever I make out of it will later accidentally get tossed in the dryer and shrink / distort the garment. However, as you warn, pre-drying does distort the knit fabric. How could I get around this? Do you think it would work to pre-wash, then tumble dry, then rewash and finally dry flat to get the fabric sitting square again? I would say that in terms of like knit stretchy fabric, if you think it will like accidentally at some point end up in the tumble dryer, that has happened to me as well, then I would just wash it in the washing machine and then tumble dry it. Just be aware that it will shrink more, so you might have to buy a little bit extra than what you had originally planned. It's just normal that knit fabric's going to shrink in the tumble dryer. And then you wouldn't, if you do that and you dry it in the tumble dryer, you don't then need to pre-wash it again and dry it flat. It'll be fine. You'll be able to cut it out okay. It's just, yeah, I just feel like when you tumble dry stuff, if you do it a lot, it can like just wear the fabric down quicker. Like it can take, it's like if you tumble dry stuff and then you've got all that fluff in your tumble dryer, that's like fibres of the fabric coming out. So it does, every time you tumble dry stuff, it does take something out of the fabric. So then your fabrics will just last longer and they'll look better for longer if you don't tumble dry them. So, but obviously it's like up to you and what your kind of laundry schedules and sort of routines are and everything. But in answer to your question, I think yes, you could wash it and then tumble dry it and then just work with it. I don't think you need to wash it and then dry it flat. Okay, somebody, let's see, there's quite a few comments and things here. Where are they? Oh, they're not online yet. Sorry if you missed that at the beginning. They should be online tomorrow, hopefully. Are you going to add ribbing / cuffing suggestions to the teddy fabric online? I made a fibre mood DD last year. Oh, that's like the pullover one with the zip, isn't it? And I'd like to make another. Yes, I will get Hannah to add some combinations to the listing so it comes up as like a recommended product. Threads are on a reel, Gutermans, some gold and some multi-colour metallic. Couldn't resist but struggling for ideas now. You could, why don't you look up like free machine embroidery? And you'll see some designs and that kind of thing for doing free machine embroidery. If the feed dogs go down in your sewing machine, you could do that. I would say if they're metallic and they're Gutermann threads, get a metallic sewing machine needle. The eye on the needle is just a little bit different and it helps to get the tension better. So if you are using them in the sewing machine, I would suggest using a metallic sewing machine needle. Hello Lauren, did you show the new Liberty fabrics or could you? I didn't bring them over tonight. They're like in another part of the shop. I can show them next week and they will also be in my new fabrics roundup that I'll do on YouTube for the end of the month next month. I use those sparkly threads for hand sewing labels in as my machine didn't like them. Thank you. I am making them in the next retreat. I have sized down when cutting out, so fingers crossed. I use metallic thread on some machine embroidery on a denim jacket. Very successful. Tumble drying ruins clothes, best to dry naturally. It does, it just wears them down. I agree. Good evening, I'm a bit late this evening. Will watch the beginning of this tomorrow, no probs. I think these threads are meant for machine embroidery, i.e. possibly embellishment of clothes rather than for sewing fabrics together. Yeah, I would agree, that's right. Did I miss the Sewing Society clues? I've not said any yet. I'll get my head together and say some of them later. Any pattern recommendations for a blouse with a wrap front and 3/4 or full sleeves out of woven fabric? The newish Friday pattern company Saturday skirt set has got a nice wrap blouse with it that's got long sleeves. Have a tower one which I use cordless or corded. It does have a good steam for the price, but as I am in a hard water area, I find they go wrong, so won't spend a lot. L wrap top from Sew Over It is good, and for woven fabric. Had no idea about the metallic needle, thank you, no probs. Oh, the Ella wrap top from Sew Over It. Okay, so the next question on here was, would you be able to show the shoulder of your Olya shirt, please? I've made a toile where I think I've mastered the shoulder, but would like to see yours. Much seam ripping. Not sure I will be able to master the shoulder again. Also, fabric recommendations for the Olya. I feel stripes on kit fabric will confuse me more. I love your kits, the fabrics are always so beautiful. Lovely, thank you. This is my Olya here, and here's the shoulder. So you have to kind of pivot it round, like the sleeve. The sleeve is quite an unusual shaped pattern piece because it's basically like a sleeve that then comes up into this front yoke section. So yeah, then you've got that, you can sort of see where the lines are there. So that's what the shoulder looks like there. I would say actually the lines aren't that bad, but if you did want a plain fabric, you wanted something to drape, the viscose linen would be really nice. We've got lots of plain colours of the viscose linen, that would be a nice one. Or if you want something more structured, you could go for one of the cotton linens. We've got some striped, you don't want stripes, do you? We've got some yarn dyed linens as well. I've also got an Olya and a yarn dyed linen, which is really nice. It's just like a bit fuller because it's more structured than the drapiness of the viscose. Okay, the next one was, I would love to see how you true the grain of Liberty Tana lawn after washing but prior to cutting to prevent twisting of garments. So what I tend to find with Liberty fabric is, because the threads that have woven it are very, very fine and they're also woven very densely together, is that when you snip into the selvage and you tear it, it will tear along the direction of threads that have woven the fabric in the first place, which is the grain line. Now, sometimes if you're like, you know, if you're quite gingerly tearing it and you're not assertive enough and just go for it, it can sort of stretch that little section where it's been torn, which will generally just even itself out when you wash it, or if you give it a really good hot steamy iron, that tends to sort of straighten it out as well. But so you can do that, and then that will help you to, you know, you can sort of line that up then as well as the selvage. But I would say you don't have to do that, as long as you just, Liberty lawn is really easy to work with because it's nice and lightweight, but it is quite stable and it doesn't sort of slip around a lot. So as long as you're matching up the selvages and they're together and you sort of smooth it out towards the fold and you've not got any kind of wrinkles or creases in that, or sort of, you know, where the fabric kind of bumps up a little bit, then that would generally be what I would do to sort of straighten it out. Is the Olya too very oversized? Would you recommend sizing down? So it is quite oversized. It's designed to be like that. If you look at the kit listing that we did in the Sewing Society section of the website, on the blue striped and the kind of grey striped version, that is the size that corresponds to my body measurements, and then the red striped one is 2 sizes down. So you'll kind of see the difference in fit there, but even sizing 2 sizes down, it's still really loose and kind of, you know, over, you know, more sort of like baggy and kind of oversized. That's just kind of what it's designed to be like. Okay, the next question was, is it better to serge the edges before you sew the seam and have 2 separate pieces, or to serge the seams together after sewing the seams? This is going to depend on what you're making and what fabric it is and what's going to happen to the seams afterwards. So there's not like a hard and fast rule here. You can do either. It will just depend. So like, for example, if you were putting a zip in a side seam of a garment, like an invisible zip in, then you would want to finish off the seam allowances separately first before you put the zip in. Whereas, or like say you were attaching, you were making a dress and you were attaching the skirt to the bodice, then I would say you would want to sew that and then just overlock the edges together. Whereas there might be other instances where you want maybe the fabrics like a little bit thicker, so you want them to be finished off separately. So say maybe it was like a shoulder seam, but you didn't want the seam allowances to be finished off together because it might make the shoulder seam a bit thicker on one side than the other. So you might then sew it and then finish them off afterwards, or yeah, in theory you could finish them off before and then sew it together. So yeah, sorry, there's not like a hard and fast rule there. It just kind of depends. If it's a thinner fabric, then it was obviously like finishing them off together isn't as big a deal than if it's a thicker fabric, then you probably would want to finish them off separately. Okay, the next one was, I really like using viscose linen. It always only seems to be available in the summer months. I used a remnant. I was really pleased with it. It feels good to wear, texture's good. It made me think I might want to sew a shirt during the winter in a solid colour, but I suspect I won't be able to get it. Is the seasonality due to fabric suppliers? I appreciate you have limited space and can't stock everything all the time, but would be interested in your thoughts on which fabrics are available when. So yeah, it's a mixture of us, having like limited space to carry all types of summer fabric all year round, just like we can't really carry like all winter and autumn stuff all year round either, because it's very big and bulky. It tends to take up a lot more room. But you know, I suppose there are some ones that we would maybe kind of keep going more than other, like they tend to be a bit more popular generally throughout the year. The rami fabric, for example, is obviously less popular in the winter, but it is still kind of popular. The viscose linen, the plain range, that is the range that is the supplier that I have been getting it from is not doing it anymore. So at the moment, the stock that I have of the viscose linen is the only stock that I've got. I'm not able to reorder it, so I have to find another supplier for that. And at the moment, I'm not able to find anything that's like exactly the same. It's something that I'm still working on. So yeah, it's a mixture of space and just generally suppliers not having it. Okay, the next one was, I would love to make a coatigan with a lining. Do you have any pattern suggestions, please? So I think there's a couple of options here. Either you can get a pattern that already has a lining, or you could just add a lining into a coatigan pattern. So I've made the sew over it cocoon coat before, and it's not, obviously it's called a coat, but it doesn't, it is designed to sort of be like a bit worn a bit more open. It's quite loose, so I think depending on your fabric choice, it could kind of look like a cardigan. Or they do also have the Jessie coatigan as well, which I didn't have a chance to look into in detail, but potentially you could maybe add a lining into that. Again, it would just depend on what fabric you were hoping to use. Okay, there's been quite a few questions coming in here. Let me catch up on these ones. Okay, hello Lauren, can you advise how to complete a forward shoulder adjustment? I always have to pull the garment forward at the shoulder to even up the hem of my garments at the front and the back. Basically, you're just having to, if it's a forward shoulder adjustment, then you're having to take something away from here and then add the same amount onto the back. I'm pretty sure it's on the Helen's Closet website. I think they have a tutorial on how to do that. That's really good. Like the illustrations are really good on it. So I would suggest checking that out for like more detailed instruction on how to do it. So yeah, Helen's Closet blog on shoulder adjustments. What easy-ish midi pattern would you recommend for a cotton lawn? Maybe the Tilly and the Buttons indigo. What is the what have I done here? What is the lovely fabric behind you, white with navy triangles? That is the Sailboats jacquard fabric that we used for the Lusk and Tire bag. That is actually the reverse of the fabric, but so it's like the inverse, the other way around. But you could definitely use it that way too if you wanted to. People have made the bag with it that way around. I made an Ogden cami dress long ago with the tie straps with a nice viscose. One of the straps just fell off / tore off. Do you have any advice as to how to avoid that? Should I have interfaced the straps? Yeah, what I do now on my Ogden camis is that I use the Prim forming tape interfacing, and I iron that on all the way around the main bodice and the facing pieces as well, so all around the necklines, all around the armholes, and it helps to stabilise it, and it also helps to just like reinforce that area as well. So it might be maybe that when you'd sewn it and then you trimmed it back, you just trimmed it a little bit too much, and then over time the fabric's just sort of weakened and frayed and then it's come loose. So yeah, like, and not necessarily interfacing the strap, more like the join. I think I've had ones that have come out before as well, and it's just if that join is not reinforced well enough, that can happen. Do you have any wool for a jumper to wear over a t-shirt? The pattern calls for wool compressed jersey. Not sure what that is exactly. Don't want a thick fabric. I've not heard of wool compressed jersey either. That's a new one on me. I suppose if it was for a jumper, it's going to have a bit of stretch in it, I guess. I don't have any wool that's got stretch in it at the moment. But obviously I don't know exactly what you're making or what it suggests, but boiled wool does tend to have like a bit of a give or a bit of a stretch in it, so that maybe that could work. Okay, hi, I followed Lauren's advice on the Olya shirt, so I sized down 2 sizes and it's fine. It's oversized, not baggy. It fits well at the neck and at the wrists. Oh, that's good. The Noodle Head Pell-On bag talks about a brand of interfacing. I don't know which interfacing do you suggest. I suppose it depends what it's for, whether it's just to like reinforce the fabric or is it actually to like sort of make it a bit more, is it the type of interfacing that you're putting in to give it like structure or stability, or is it just like to reinforce it? When we've done bags before, I've generally put in the woven cotton interfacing, my personal preference, and then in the Luskin Tire one, we put in the buckram interfacing, which is like really quite, it's like a kind of board almost. It was really like quite thick and stiff, so that would give like a lot of stability. The Palmer Pletch tissue fitting books are great for identifying and fixing fit issues. Yeah, I've seen them before and used them briefly as well. Yeah, they are good. I was looking at making Olya. Your tips video was recommended in store, but I couldn't see it online. Is this still available? Yeah, all the videos that go with the kits are available. What you need to do is go to the Sewing Society section of the website, and then in there you'll see the little video tab and all of the videos are listed there. Would a ribbed fabric do for the jersey over our t-shirt? Yeah, I think so. Not totally sure what the question means, but yeah, I think it would. Okay, the next one was have I done this one already? True Bias Marlo fabric recommendations that isn't French terry or sweatshirt, please. So I showed a few of them at the start. I think this one, which isn't online yet, will be online tomorrow. This is the rainbow multi-yarn knitted fabric. I think that would be good. And it's not a French terry or a sweatshirt thing. You could use the teddy fabric as well. Again, it will be online tomorrow. This is the oatmeal teddy fleece fabric, so I think that would be a nice alternative too. Did I bring anything else over? Yes, I did. These were another 2 options for the Marlo as well. Hopefully we'll get more colours of these as it comes into autumn, because this is still just some stock left from last winter at the moment. This is the Seaport Blue viscose blended knit fabric. Which is like it's like double-sided really. It looks the same on both sides. Comes in a few colours. We do have a few versions where it's like a different colour on each side as well, which is quite nice. And then if you want a kind of floppier, sort of more relaxed version of the Marlo, this would be nice as well. You can see it's much more floppy and lighter weight, so it would give a different sort of look to the cardigan, but I do think it would still be nice. This is the Honey Mustard Variated Rib Knit fabric. It's a viscose polyester mix 1930, so yeah, a few options there. For a jumper, how about French terry? I've used that for the Sew House 7, yeah. Is the top you are wearing one you have made, please? It's lovely, thank you. Yeah, it is. It's the Fibre Mood Quilla top, and it's the rose yarn dyed checked fabric, which literally just arrived this afternoon, so it's not on the system yet, but it will be this week. So it'll still show us out of stock online just now. Would the bubble cord work for the Marlo with snaps rather than buttons? It doesn't have any stretch in it at all, So you would have to adapt the pattern a little bit for the neckband and for the cuffs. I think the body pieces are oversized enough, it would be fine. But yeah, you would have to adapt it for the neckband and the cuffs, and I can't remember if the hemband has got negative ease in it or not as well. But yeah, I think in theory, yeah, just maybe like a little few adjustments. Okay, the next one was, can I make a blazer with the meat milk tencel twill? Would you interface all the pieces? I'm going to say no to this one, only because I think one of the benefits and like the nice characteristics of the smooth drape tencel twill is how much it drapes and moves. And I think it might almost like look a little bit, I don't know if it might look a little bit weird if that's like taken away from it. So I would say if you want, if you want it to be like a structured blazer, I don't think that's the best choice. But you definitely could make a jacket with the smooth drape tencel twill. It's maybe just going to have maybe like a slightly more casual feel. I've made the Chalk and Notch Joy jacket with before, with the smooth drape tencel twill. That's really nice. I think Named Patterns have got a kind of jacket as well. It's maybe in one of their books that's made up in smooth drape tencel twill, and it looks really nice as well. Okay, the next one was, I like the flat fell finish on the moss jacket. Would it also work for the Ilford? I think it would, yeah, because the way that the sleeve goes into the bodice is pretty similar. So I think it would work. Fabric ideas for matching baby boy and mum Heyday's dungarees by Waves and Wild. That is very cute. I would say either the enzyme linen is a good choice for dungarees. I actually had my Helen's Closet Yantas on today, that is in the enzyme linen. This is the Lagoon Teal one, which I think would be nice. Or if you want a more wintry option, we have got quite a few colours of this sort of thicker, chunkier cord here. It's 100% cotton. This is another one of the new ones, so it'll be online tomorrow. It's the Hunter Green Chunky Cotton Corduroy. We've also got it in navy and a teal, and then a kind of sort of berry colour as well. So I think that would be nice as well. Okay, the next one was ideas for autumn winter dresses that can be layered up with tights and boots. So what I would suggest if you think you're going to wear something with tights is that you want to think about styles or fabrics that are not going to stick to the tights too much. So if you have something that's got like a looser skirt section or a gathered skirt section, then it's less likely to be like clinging and sticking to your tights. If it's something that's like a bit more straight and fitted, then I would suggest lining it with like a viscose lining, or more like, sort of slippery type lining, so it doesn't stick to the tights. But sort of fuller styles that I've made before and that I've worn with tights are the Tilly and the Buttons Lyra, Meg Nielsen Studley, and the Tilly and the Buttons Indigo. So a few options there. I'm sure the Marlo has been designed to be used with woven with a ribbed neckline, cuffs and bottom edge, as well as stretch fabric. Not tried it yet though. Yeah, definitely. I think that would work. Definitely. Okay, the next one was, can you please talk about the new Named pattern, please, that looks like the Kielo wrap dress? So it's very similar to the Kielo wrap dress, the new one. I actually can't remember what it's called now. But it's really near the top of the Just Arrived section on the website. And it's basically designed for woven fabric. So the Kielo wrap is for knit fabrics. And I'm pretty sure when they brought it out originally, like ages and ages and ages ago, the instructions that came with it in the pattern said that you could use either woven or knit fabrics. And then I think when they were maybe like sort of redesigning their patterns and kind of relaunching them, and they then brought out the Kielo wrap dress, they just made it for knit fabrics. But then I think they've used the sort of same kind of design or like inspiration, that kind of style line of like that wrap. But then they've designed a pattern that's specifically for woven fabrics, and it looks like it has a few other different variations to the Kielo wrap as well. So it's got a top version, which the Kielo doesn't have, and it's also got different shaped sleeves. It looks like it had a little sort of puff sleeve. And then just the way that like the neckline's finished off and stuff will be different. So yeah, one's for knit, one's for woven. That's kind of headline there. Okay, I'm making a Closet Core Pauline in a heavy fraying crepe. It's quite tricky to work with. The pleats don't hold with the iron. Do you have any tips for working with that fabric? It sounds like if it's not holding the pleat with ironing it, that it's maybe synthetic, and that's why it's not taking a crease. So I would just say try and handle it like as gently as you can, and it might be that maybe you have to sort of hand tack things into position a little bit more to sort of get them to stay where you want them to until you've actually made it. And if you've got an overlocker, obviously that's really going to help when you're finishing off your seam allowances, try and help control that fraying. Okay, the next one was, can you recommend a different knot puff sleeve replacement for the sagebrush top? That's the Friday Pattern Company top, which does have quite a full puff sleeve. What I was thinking would maybe be the easiest thing to try is that if you just use a sleeve that is from another Friday Pattern Company pattern that's not puff. So the Donny and the Patina both have different sleeves from the sagebrush, and my theory was, I was thinking, well, if they're from the same pattern company, they've been drafted from the sort of same block, then hopefully they kind of fit together, but it's still not really like a total guarantee. So don't hold me to that. That was my suggestion for how potentially you could try and make it work. Okay, the next one was, could you please show me denim for the sasha, jeans or the ginger? So I would say our 11-ounce stretch denim is a good option for that. This is like a little sort of sample that we've made up. This is the classic blue 11-ounce stretch denim fabric. It also comes in a dark indigo and also black as well. I've made ginger jeans in this, it works really well. I've never actually made the sasha in denim. I guess it would work in theory. But yeah, this definitely works good for the ginger because I've made them before. Okay, the next one was recommendations for fabrics for some of your new bag kits outside traditional canvas. So I've got a few suggestions here. You could use that chunky cord, that cotton cord that I was showing you before. I think you definitely want to interface it all with a woven cotton interfacing, just add a bit more structure. It is like a bit floppy, but I think it would still look nice as a bag. And then the other option, which is what we did for the making backpack kits, is the Bedford cord, which we definitely have it in the tan and the olive. I'm not 100% sure in the navy because I couldn't clap my eyes on the roll, but we might have some. But that looks nice as well. So it's got the sort of lines in it like a cord, but it's made differently so it doesn't have a nap like a cord. So that's a nice option as well for a bag. Okay, somebody's saying I've used the Donny sleeve in the patina blouse and it worked well. Okay, so that says maybe my idea in theory could potentially work then. You're putting another sleeve from Friday Pattern Company on the sagebrush. I've used the sleeve from the Norma blouse with the sagebrush pattern. Okay, good to know. Thank you everyone. Okay, the next one was fabric ideas for the Ilford jacket. So you could use that bubble cord that I was showing you at the beginning for cozy version with that fur back. You could also use the chunky cord that I was showing you too. The other option, which is what we used when we did it for a kit, is the cotton twill. It's 100% cotton twill. This is the Dahlia red one. It comes in lots of colours. This would be a bit more of a sort of lighter weight one. You could also use the enzyme linen as well. It's really versatile. I've seen people use all sorts for the Ilford, including like a really lightweight viscose fabric, which then obviously makes it more like just a blouse or a shirt. But yeah, I think it depends what sort of end vibe you want it to have. So quite a few different ideas there. Okay, the next one was any recommendations for the Merchant and Mills Eve. So yeah, there's lots of options for the Eve. I've got a pair in the Serona linen, which I wear a lot. They've like lasted really well. I think I made them like 3 years ago and I still wear them a lot over the summer. So Serona linen's a good option. And also the enzyme linen would work as well. I think you could also use the cord. You could use the chunky cord. We do also have, where did I put that one? We do also have some sort of thicker needle cord as well, which I think would be nice too. This is the denim stretch baby cord fabric. So it's stretch fabric because it's got elastane in it, but you'd still class it as a woven. It's just stretchy because it's got elastane in it. But I think that would be nice for them as well. So yeah, another few options there for the Eve. The next one was summer dress advice for Liberty Tana Lawn. Again, I was the first ones that came to mind with the Tilly and the Buttons Indigo, only because I have actually made one of them in Liberty Tana Lawn. And the Lyra looks nice as well in a lawn. So I would suggest those ones. You could shorten the lyra if you wanted to make it a bit more summery. Okay, the next one was, I'd like to make the Strathcona Henley, that's the thread theory pattern. What would be your suggestions for best male fabrics, and how would I go about stabilising the button placket? So I had a few options for this one. I've got either just like our classic organic jersey fabric, which is just like a really nice classic t-shirt fabric. Comes in lots of different colours. This one's obviously black, but it does come in lots of different colours, whatever your colour preferences were. And then one that's a little bit thicker is this one here, which is the cotton interlock. So the way that this one's woven, it almost ends up like a double thickness, so it doesn't have a right and wrong side like regular t-shirt jersey has. And it's a little bit thicker, so you know, if you felt like you wanted it to kind of feel a little bit more substantial, then that would be a nice option. At the moment we just have it in white, navy and like a kind of violety sort of colour, but it does come in lots of other colourways as well. We were just sort of trying it with them in the first instance. In terms of stabilising the button placket, I actually have made the Henley years ago, like maybe when it almost like first came out I made it, and I'm pretty sure I just used like regular non-woven interfacing to stabilise it, because you don't necessarily want that area to stretch where the buttonholes are anyway, so you could just use that, or you could use the stretch interfacing if you wanted that area to still be a bit flexible, but I feel like you probably wouldn't necessarily. It doesn't really need to stretch because the rest of it's going to stretch. Okay, would that red fabric you have just shown be okay for the Eve trousers? Yeah, I think it would. Yeah. Love your eye makeup. Oh, thank you. Is the new bag patterns, could you use jean fabric? The new bag patterns, I'm wondering what ones they are. And you mean like denim fabric? Yeah, you could use denim to make a bag. Yep. Okay, the next one was looking at either Pietra, the Closet Core trousers, or the True Bias Emerson trousers for work. Where do the waists sit? One at least says high waist, but where is this? I prefer natural waist. Also, suitable fabric, please. Maybe for work. -primary school teacher. So I would say the Pietras sit, having made both, I think the Pietras do sit higher on me anyway. I would say they sit maybe more like at the bottom of the rib cage on me. They are quite high. The Emersons actually come with a choice. They have like a higher one and a low-rise version. So you can choose what height you want the crotch to be. Like they have those two versions in the pattern pieces that come with the pattern. But I think, I'm pretty sure that even the higher one in the Emerson isn't quite as high as the Pietras. You can obviously lower it though. You know, you can lower the height of a crotch if you didn't want them as high as that. So yeah, I would probably say, I can imagine that where you're feeling like the natural waist is probably is lower than what a pattern would class as being high waist, but it can all just sort of vary because everybody's like proportions of this part of their body can all be quite different, so then it can mean that things end up sitting in different places. Okay, the next question was, what is the easiest pattern for a wrap skirt for a beginner? I was going to say the Closet Core Fiona skirt. It has quite a few different versions. One of them is a wrap, and just because the Closet Core instructions are really good, and there's also an online course as well that Closet Core do that feature that pattern, so I think it would be a good one to do for a beginner because it's got quite a lot of like explaining and help and extra tips and things. Any suggestions for a simple bralette pattern? So I've not made a bralette before, so if anybody has made one and they like it, then please do share what one you liked. But I found one that was by the company's called Wardrobe by Me, and it's the WBM bralette. That looked like a kind of classic one that you sort of pull on and off over your head. And then the next one was, what fabric would you recommend for a Closet Core Fiona sundress for a late holiday? That sounds lovely. I would love a late holiday. I think the enzyme linen would be nice if you want a plain. We've still got quite a few colours of that one, so that's the 100% enzyme linen. And then the other one that I thought might be nice is this double gauze one. which will feel a lot sort of lighter weight and summery, but I think it's really nice, and the stripes are nice as well. This one is the blue seaside stripe cotton double gauze fabric, and it does come in another colourway as well, so I thought that might be nice too. Oh, I've just realised I also forgot to say what fabric suggestions for the Pietras or the Emersons, which was something that was going to be smarter for work. This is the bamboo blended twill fabric, muted moss bamboo blended twill fabric. So it's bamboo and recycled polyester. It comes in lots of plain colours, and it's a really nice one. It doesn't crease, and it's, yeah, I think it would make a really nice smart pair of trousers. Okay, the next one was any top / blouse patterns with princess seams, please. So I had a quick look around, and I found a French navy one, the vetiver top, and then also the cashmerette Harrison shirt has princess seams as well. But if anybody else knows of any others, please let me know and I will read them out. That was all the questions that were sent in beforehand, so I'm going to catch up on some of the other questions that have been sent in, and if you have any others, then type them in now and I'll get to them too. Okay, I would like to make some wintry Burnside bibs. What fabric would you recommend? Would the new corduroy work? Yeah, I think that would be nice. The chunky cord. I've just finished 2 Henleys today. Used lightweight non-woven interfacing in the placket. Good to know. Any Sewing Society clues? Yeah. So it's 2 weeks and Wednesday, because the first Wednesday of September is a bit later. So yeah, it's another 2 weeks before the kit release. One is going to be nice and warm, and the other, I would say they both have like fairly smart vibes to them. Last September we did a hoodie and jogging bottoms. I'd probably just say this is like the opposite to that. How's that for a few clues? Okay, thank you for answering. Just joined, so we'll have to watch back later. Yeah, I'll save it on Instagram and it'll be on YouTube as well. Would the cotton interlock work for the Sirocco jumpsuit? I don't think it would, because the cotton interlock is 100% cotton, which means it doesn't really have much stretch recovery. I've got a feeling for the Sirocco it needs to have quite a lot of stretch. I don't think it's got quite enough stretch for that. So sorry, I'm not sure that it would. Could I use the bamboo twill for the sasha? No, because for the sasha, I'm afraid you need stretch woven fabric that's got a bit of elastin in it, so it's got stretch, because the sasha does have, is you know, a bit more fitted over the waist and the hips. And I think it's too thin, and it also doesn't have any stretch in it. You really need like a stretch cotton for the sashas. Going to fit my first invisible zip. Good luck. Watch my video on that on YouTube if you haven't already. The Tilly and the Buttons Rosa shirt has princess seams, so it does. Thank you for the reminder. How do you place the top of the zip, the little extra piece before the actual zip begins? Depends where you're sewing it in, but really you want that'll end up being like in the seam allowance. So like say it's at the top, say it was in a skirt, and then say if your seam allowance is 1.5 centimetres, then the little plastic bit that's the top of the zip, so it's where you pull the pull of the zip up and then the zip stops, that's like the top of the zip. You want to make sure that that's the same distance as your seam allowance, like down from the top edge of it. I hope that makes sense. Okay, well, thank you for all your questions, everyone. Oh, if it's in a dress, if it's in the centre back, same principle would apply. Or then if it's like in a side seam and you're kind of sewing the top of that as well, then usually your pattern would have like a little notch or a marking that would sort of tell you where to line up that top of the zip. So you just, with an invisible zip, you need to put the zip in first and then sew the seam above and below it. So yeah, I hope that helps. Good luck. Make sure it'll be a lot easier if you've got an invisible zip foot on your machine as well. Okay, so yeah, almost another hour flown past already. Thank you for watching, everyone. I will be back here again next week, and I'll be able to show you some of the other new fabrics that I didn't show you tonight. And then also I'll have like the end of the month new fabrics round up on YouTube as well next week too. So yeah, all of the new ones that I was showing you tonight are not online just yet. They should be on tomorrow. If you want some of the fabric that I'm wearing right now, it will also, the stock of that arrived like late this afternoon, so it'll be on the system tomorrow. So if you pop your email address in to get a stock notification for that as well, then we can let you know when that stock is available again. It's the rose yarn dyes check linen. And yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you for your thanks. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a really good week, and I'll see you in another week. Bye.